Welcome back, everybody. It's Zach here, bringing you guys another fantasy football video. So I'm going to sort of mix things up a little bit. Wanted to break things up a little bit, not have just a bunch of different draft strategy videos coming at you over and over. So I want to just go over a quick video, just giving some general tips and tricks about how to be good at fantasy football. Just sort of a fun video for me. I more than welcome you guys to in the comments. Let me know what other tips and tricks you have, things that you guys have found to be super helpful. But these are just sort of some tips that come to mind when I generally give people either getting into fantasy football or people who want to be better, things that I would tell them just to make sure that they can actually get better at this, because obviously it's something we're putting a lot of time into. It's something we all love doing, and it's a lot more fun if we're really good at it. So hopefully you guys agree with any of these. If you guys have any additional ones you want to add on, I'm more than welcome that. It should be a lot of fun. And yeah, with that, let's just sort of get into it. It should be a fun video. So the first thing I'll tell anybody with anything if they want to get better at it is just to practice. The foundation of your roster every single year is going to start with your league's fantasy football draft, and practice does make perfect. If you go into your draft having not done any mock drafts or any of that, you're going to have a really tough time preparing for any sort of things that sort of surprise you if things don't go based off of ADP. And no matter how educated you are about the players, what they're doing, and you have well-informed opinions and all that, it makes it tough if you don't know exactly how you want to build out your roster. And having done a bunch of mock drafts and all that, it's going to make you more prepared and be more able to adapt to things that come at you during the draft. And it's just going to help you get a leg up on your league mates, because you will come into the draft with the most practice and be the most prepared for any sort of things that are going to get thrown your way. So sort of goes with anything. If you want to get better at it, you got to practice it. You got to do it a lot. And if you do it you're going to get better. So definitely something I would recommend for sure. Next tip that I would give people is just to stay up to date. This isn't really something that I fully appreciated until even just a couple of years ago, but one thing I'll highlight is the ADPs do sort of lock in pretty early in the summer. There will be some fluctuations here and there, but there are going to be players that rise in terms of what the news cycle says about them during the course of training camp and all that, and that isn't necessarily going to reflect itself in ADP. So I think back a couple of years to Dameon Pierce, got a ton of buzz at in Houston Texans camp. There was a lot of buzz a little bit early last offseason as well about guys like Kyren Williams. Devon Achane got a lot of buzz as well. Things like that are really, the information is given to us during the offseason, and it just doesn't necessarily get reflected in the ADPs. And if you're up to date on that, if you're keeping that in the back of your mind, making sure that you're getting all that information. Puka was another example. We got a lot of training camp buzz about Puka last year. It's going to help you understand where some of the errors in the ADP are and really help you capitalize on that during your draft. And then I just also want to highlight that it's a really huge advantage during the course of the regular season as well. It's really rare for people in leagues to be as plugged in as you really can be. If you're on Twitter getting notifications there, you're making sure you've got push notifications coming at you from different beat reporters and all that, you're going to get news a lot faster than a lot of people. And I cannot tell you how many times I've gotten week-winning waiver ads of like backup running backs and stuff, because news will break that a running back's actually going to miss a week, and then if you get that notification, you're going to be the first guy that can get to waivers, get him on your roster, and then you've got a locked and loaded starter that week that didn't cost you anything, and you got him just because you were the most plugged in player on your league. So being up to date, making sure you're getting all those notifications, it's going to do a lot for you guys. And then also just making sure that you're aware of like how snap shares change from week to week, what players are being utilized more, identifying those trends maybe before they show up in the stat box. It's going to be a really great option, just because a lot of people just sort of box score hunt. They don't really see anything beyond that. People don't really look at snap shares, look at targets. They're just going to look at receptions, yards, carries, yards, touchdowns. And if you're up to date and you're really in the weeds about that and seeing all those different variations of things, you're going to identify what players should break out before they actually do. So it's a huge way to get a leg up on people. The next tip I'd give is just to know the rules, and it sounds silly, but it's actually a really huge deal. Draft strategy in your league is going to vary a lot based off of your league type. You've got PPR, half PPR, non-PPR leagues, obviously different scoring formats beyond that. You've got different league structure or roster structures as well. You've got 3 wide receivers, 2 wide receiver leagues, super flex leagues, some leagues with 2 flexes. A lot of leagues use IR slots, a lot don't. All of these things are going to change how you're going to draft, and the ADPs that are showing up on your draft day, they're the ADPs on that platform for the most generic of scoring rules, the most generic of rosters, and it's not going to reflect the actual draft rules or the actual league rules that are in your league. So especially if you're in a league that's a little bit non-generic, maybe you're in a 3 wide receiver league, maybe you're in a half PPR league that gives point bonuses for 100-yard games or something like that, all that stuff, there's going to be a lot of different variations in how you want to be drafting, and just understanding where those rules are different from different platforms and different just generic setups, it's going to give you a huge leg up, because there are a lot of leagues where people aren't really going to look at that. They're not even going to pay attention to the rules, and they might not notice some of the little discrepancies that are in your league. So the more you understand the rules in your league, the more it's going to help you identify what you can do to really benefit. I've got a league that rewards quite a lot of points for kickoff return yards, and that's going to be a huge deal this year. And I bet I'm going to get a huge leg up in my opponents this year because they're probably not going to realize how much the league's going to be impacted by that, especially this year with the new kickoff rule. And that's just one example, but there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to change just from league to league, and knowing the rules, knowing how they're different, it's going to give you a leg up. A lot of people really just don't take a look at that. The next tip I'll give is just going to be to stay active in your league. And like in all things, when people put more time and effort into something, they're going to be better at it and they're going to have more success than people who don't. And this is especially true in fantasy football, especially like after the early part of the season. There are a lot of people that sort of just check out if they start 1-3, 1-4, 0-4. A lot of people are just going to tap out, and it's going to leave a lot of opportunity for wins in your league. Maybe people will still be setting their lineups, but they're not going to be looking at it with the same level of excitement. They're going to have given up. And if you manage to stay active, hammer waivers, and really just do your best to make your team better over the course of the entire season, it's going to give you a really good shot at making the playoffs. I can't tell you how many times I've had teams start 0-3, 0-4, 1-5, and still manage to find a way to squeak into the playoffs. And then once you get in, you just got to win 3 games from there. So don't give up as long as you're still mathematically in it. Staying active, making sure you're up to date on everything, making sure you're always trying to improve your roster. It's going to do a lot. And even if you start out really slow, there's plenty of time to come back in the season. And it's sort of like with anything in life, if you're just making sure that you're staying active, grinding through it, there will be people that sort of drop out. Don't be consistent, and when you are, you're really going to get a leg up on everybody else. The next tip I want to give everybody is just to really heavily target upside. And the fact of the matter is we're playing to win our leagues. Nobody cares if you get second or third. It's not cool if you've made the playoffs every single year for 10 years in the league but never won anything. Nobody cares about that. What we really hope to do is get our name on that trophy every single year. We want to go home in first place. And I really want to make sure that we're emphasizing in our drafts that we do prioritize getting upside on our roster. This is especially true for me after the first 3 rounds. I think the first 3 rounds you can play a little bit safer. Those are guys that are going to be the foundation of your roster, and if you really take on too much risk there, it's tough to overcome a couple misses early on in the draft. So I don't want to target upside too much, especially in those first 3 rounds. I want to get guys that are going to be super consistent for me, but after that, you really want to be targeting guys that have a ton of upside, target young guys that have the potential to really break out over the course of the season, target running backs in ambiguous situations, teams with quarterback changes and stuff like that. Just target guys that have a wide range of outcomes, because if those guys hit, it's going to give you a huge leg up over your opponents. And if they don't, we're talking about 4th, 6th, 8th round picks, stuff like that. Those guys, they're not going to sink your team if they don't hit. You can certainly recover from that. And if they do end up hitting and being like top 10 options, you just got yourself effectively what should have been like another first round pick, and you got that guy way later on in the draft than you should have. So it's definitely advantageous to target upside. These are guys that can help elevate you above the rest of your league. If you end up with just a bunch of good players, you'll probably go 8-6. You'll make the playoffs. You'll win a playoff game maybe, and then you'll lose. And that's not super exciting. We want to be trying to win our leagues, and we want to make sure that we have guys that are going to drastically exceed their expectations and what their median case can be. So targeting upside is going to give you a much better shot at winning your championship. And then as long as you're active, as long as you're on top of things, you'll be able to overcome some misses and make sure you can find guys on waivers, piece together a good roster, even if some of those guys don't hit out for you. Next tip I want to give is just to trade often. So long as you're staying active and you're well informed about things, you should be able to win more than half of your trades over the course of the season. Just because if you're watching this video, especially, you're probably putting quite a bit of time into fantasy research. You're making sure that you're going to do well this season, making sure you're well informed. And if you're more informed than the people you're trading with, you're probably going to win more than half of your trades. And even if you're not going to win every single trade, if you're winning more than half of them, it makes a lot of sense to just make as many of those trades as possible, because over the long haul, you're going to make your roster better as you do that. And it's also just really important to keep in mind that if you're not making trades, there are people in your league that are going to, and in every trade, there's going to be a winner and a loser. And that means that every single time a trade happens without you in it, someone's team got better and yours didn't. So if you're one of those teams that sort of sits on the sidelines, doesn't do a lot of trading over the course of the year, I found that it's really difficult to end up being a high-end contender over the course of the entire season, because even if you draft really well, start off super hot over the course of the season, if you're not making a lot of moves, making moves in trades, adding in waivers off of free agency, your team's not going to get any better over the course of the season. And the people that are active making all these trades, their teams will get better. And sure, maybe you'll be the 1 seed, maybe you'll make the playoffs, but if you get into the playoffs, you don't have the best team at that point in time, you're still probably not going to win your championship. So it's important to trade, make sure your team's getting better and better over the course of the entire season, and don't be afraid to trade just because things are going well, because you've got to make sure your team gets better and better as the season goes on, or you'll get caught up by someone else and you're just not going to be one of those best teams come playoffs. And the last little tip I wanted to give here is just have fun. At the end of the day, this is a game that we're playing, and you do obviously want to put more time into things that you're enjoying, and it's just going to make it a lot easier for you just to perform at a high level if you're enjoying it. You guys want to make sure that you are looking forward to doing all of this. It's going to be tough to put the time in tough to make sure you're staying up to date, tough to watch all the games, look at all the snap shares and all that if you're not enjoying it. So do things like play with friends, roster players you like, make sure your league has fun little games, maybe like different events, like last place punishments, all sorts of stuff that you can do to sort of build a community in your league. The more you can do to sort of make this fun, it is a game that we're playing here, and if you're not doing it, if you're doing it and not having fun, there's really no point to be doing that. So make sure you're enjoying it. You're going to be better at things that you enjoy as well. You're going to put a lot of time into it, and you're going to do it because you're enjoying doing that as well. So just have fun. Again, don't take this too seriously. It's a game, and it's just supposed to be a lot of fun for all of us as well. So keep that in mind as well. So that'll do it for this tips and tricks video. If you guys have any other sort of tips you want to give just to sort of help people be better, feel free to drop those in the comments. This one should be a fun video. I really just hope you guys appreciate them. If there's anything you disagreed with as well, just let me know in the comments. It's really fun to sort of interact with you guys there as well. Up next, I will be getting back to some of those draft strategy videos. So I'll go over the optimal draft strategy if you're picking from the 110. I'll follow that up with the 112, and then we'll get into some more auction content, some more player analysis, more mock drafts and all that. Just got a lot more content coming. So putting out 4 videos a week for the course of the rest of the off season. If you want to make sure you don't miss any of those, just make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you guys do want to do me a favor as well, if you made it this far in the video, please do give it a thumbs up. It helps with the algorithm, which helps me know that I'm doing a good job as well. So I appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you with the next one. Peace. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, check out these other videos here if you haven't. If you want more content, please feel free to follow me on Twitter at RealSteelFFB. I'll be more active on there as the season goes on. Thanks. Catch you later.